Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am very, very pleased to announce that F1 XBOX Racing is back on this channel. Welcome to the Invictus Racing League F1 XBOX Season 12, Round 4 from Suzuka. My name is KieranWright92, and joining me on commentary for this season and beyond is my very, very good friend, Dom the Noodle. Good evening, Dom. How are you, my friend? As Dom said, guys, this is the first time that, well, we are going to recap this year's season so far. We are in round 4 of season number 12 here in IRL XBOX in the F1 division. Round 1 was in Mexico. The race was won by Liverpool Ewan 02. Farfu 11 was taking second place. DJ Danny in third. Moving on to race number 2 in Australia, it was Farfu who was able to come through and take that victory. DJ Danny in second place with Liverpool Ewan in third. And last week in Russia, it was once again the exact same podium from the first race weekend of the season. Liverpool Ewan 02 with the win, Farfu in second, and DJ Danny in third. What does that do for the drivers and constructors standings, you ask? Well, it means that it is a very, very dominant position for the Renault team of Liverpool Ewan 02 and DJ Danny. Liverpool Ewan currently leading the Drivers' Championship on 41 points. Farfu just 2 points behind him in the AlphaTauri on 39. And in third place in the driver standings at the moment is DJ Danny. So, constructors, Renault currently leading the way on 74 points. Holding a pretty strong 24-point lead over the AlphaTauri team of Farfu 11 and CJ Allen. And in third place, you have the Williams team of Botched Gerbil and XHRC. Of course, we do have a very, very large curveball to throw to you this evening. Unfortunately, Farfu is not able to race today, neither is CJ Allen. We have neither AlphaTauri this evening. I'm not sure about you, Dom, but I'm seeing this as a massive, massive opportunity for this Renault team to really, really consolidate both the drivers and constructor standings.
Yeah, in all of my years of watching and commentating on F1, I've seen a few times this exact scenario happen. And usually when it does, and not having both drivers in the rival car being on the track at the same time, pulling in those points, has caused a significant gap to the point where it's usually unrecoverable. Now tonight, yes, they do have another driver in, and yes, there could be some decent points there, but it might not be enough to keep the AlphaTauri just that step closer to the Renault. Will Renault pull away? Well, in the first 3 races, you've got podiums all around, so I mean the chances are high. And with a few of the drivers saying that the wets aren't quite their sort of optimal condition, you might just see it change due to the fact that this track has had many, many wet races across its history in Formula 1. You can probably bet that we're going to get some kind of rain either in the qualifying or the race itself.
Indeed, the wet weather, especially here in Suzuka, known to really, really change races at the drop of a coin. You could be quite comfortably leading a race, no real issues whatsoever. Bit of rain falls, you've got to completely change your strategy, which could then hinder you later on because, of course, you've built that lead and then you're going to lose it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you got to think with with Park for me a thing now, and having to. But the second you go out in that qualifying session locked into play, you might see some drivers just try to qualify that bit faster if it is dry on the dry compound and on the dry setup, and yet risk it all in the wet. However, you might see the reverse and then go out on the wet setup and just bear with it, post some slow lap times and just post much faster race pace due to the fact that the other drivers are on the dry pace. Now, whether or not that'll happen, it'll be a 50-50, and if it does rain, it'll make for some interesting races, maybe a safety car or two, and that will change up everything. Will it happen? Maybe. If it does, will it be fun? Oh, 100%.
So I would like to get your views on this as someone who has experience in sim racing, in league racing. What are you looking in terms of a qualifying session with the thought, especially at a track like Suzuka, with the thought of that rain in the back of your mind? Are you looking to set up a strategy or a setup that leads more towards the expectation for rain, or are you just trying to take it on face value as to what's in front of you at the time and just looking, for example, if it's in dry conditions, to just put the fastest dry setup you can on and cross your fingers and hope it doesn't rain during the race?
On a track like Suzuka, you've really got to 50-50 it. There's always a chance of rain, even midway through a qualifying session. There's always that chance of rain, and you might even find that you get dry through qualifying, and you get a dry start to the race. You know, the formation lap is dry, laps 1 to 10 are dry, and then for no reason whatsoever, just the heavens open up and the race becomes unbearable. Now, that's something that, you know, not any driver can ever hope for, and you can never prepare for it either. And it can really change your mentality, especially into a track like Japan where it happens just that quickly. You know, it's coming into Suzuka is a different mentality to any other race. You know, you go to Silverstone, it's always 9 times out of 10 it's wet at some stage in the weekend. You go to Monaco, never rains. You go to Catalonia, we've had snow there 1 year. You know, it's dry apart from that. So you're guaranteed these conditions in most places, and in Japan, in Suzuka, you're almost guaranteed that rain. So going in, you're probably going to want that wet setup just in case. You're going to want to be able to rely on it, and these boys would have practiced. I mean, we've spoken to some of the boys previously, and some of these boys have been practicing for days, and they're just making sure their perfect setup is there. And some of the boys still haven't practiced until tonight, and getting that perfect setup this close to the race is almost impossible. You might find them tweak just before going in, and you might find some really fast lap times. And if you see some slow ones in the dry, you can guarantee it's probably going to be wet, and that they're going for that wet setup in the race day. Like I said, it's a different mentality. In the wet, you take the track a bit slower, a lot more cautious. 130R is a lot more slippy, and you know, with minimal traction control and none that some of these boys are running, you come round it too quick and you hit the inside curb and it's race over. You could lose a back wheel in the outside wall. You might even hit someone else, your own teammate maybe. That's happened before. You know, so it's always that risk. And your mentality has to come in very cautious. And with the center S bends as well, if you're neck and neck with your rival in those bends, you're going to want to be cautious but fast, because if they go in and they're not cautious but fast, and you're cautious but not fast, you're coming out second. You are definitely coming out second, and that could change the pace of your race completely.
Yeah, I can definitely understand where you're coming from there. So we've got a couple of people in chat. Jamie29X is in the Twitch stream saying that he's going to win this race. On the note of Jamie drives for the Red Bull team. His teammate IRL Matt21 this evening makes his 36th start in IRL XBOX. He is currently the record holder 4 starts in IRL XBOX. Dom, do you want to make yourself a spectator?
Yeah, we are.
As I say, guys, IRL Matt's 21, making his 36th start here in IRL XBOX, driving for the Red Bull team. As I say, he is the current record holder on starts. Very much looking forward to seeing what Matt is able to do here in Suzuka. As you did mention earlier, Dom, you've had a chance to chat with some of the drivers. Have you got anyone that we should be looking out for during this race?
A few names were thrown around by drivers that have taken this race into account. I mean, you want to keep an eye on Ewan, Liverpool Ewan 02 for sure. He's won 2 of 3. That's a 66%, 66.6% win ratio there. So he's definitely one to keep an eye out for. His teammate as well. I mean, if his teammate comes first, are you going to see those team orders come into play? Are you going to see them just fight it out for their own personal gain, or are they going to come in for Constructors' Championship? So those two are going to be ones to watch. Like you said, Matt's is 36 races deep. He's going to be one to watch out for. He's got the experience in the league. It's a different breed from Matt's. And Jamie29X is another one to watch out for. Unfortunately, he hasn't finished a race this season in the Equal Performance League. He has managed to in the realistic performance, but if he can convert tonight, that'll bring his mentality up a lot. I've seen it happen before where drivers have started poorly and yet come back to be P2, P3, and even win in some scenarios. So I'd give those 3 a shout for sure.
There we go. As you can see on the screen now, guys, the drivers are starting to ready up here for this 18-minute short qualifying session. It's just the one qualifying session that we do here, guys, before we lead into the 50% race. Fun little additional side note for you guys. We are not the only league racing today. There is also the PlayStation F2 League, which is currently streaming on the Invictus Racing League YouTube channel. For those of you who are in Twitch, !YouTube in chat will bring you up the Invictus League YouTube channel, and you guys can go over there and make sure you go over, drop a subscription on that channel. That is where all IRL races will be posted. With us, we're assuming it's going to be about 24 hours or so ahead or following the conclusion of this evening's stream. So it will probably be at some point tomorrow this stream will actually go up. So as I say, guys, !YouTube in the chat to go and follow the Invictus Racing League YouTube channel. And let's get ourselves into this qualifying session here in Suzuka.
Sorry, I was just sorting out a note here.
Yep.
And I just remembered a conversation with Liverpool Ewan yesterday, and he was really hopeful to get that top space grid today. Now he did say that if it's wet, there's a chance that he might lack it in pace a little bit, and that his teammate does have the he believes his teammate's got the advantage being on that controller, not on the wheel. Now, if Liverpool Ewan doesn't get that top step and DJ Danny does, is that going to change up the way that the race happens? It's all to play for in tonight's race, and the Constructors' Championship, whilst it might be too far gone at the end of this race, the Drivers' Championship definitely will not be, and I can guarantee we're about to see one of the better qualifyings you've seen in IRL history.
That's what we are most certainly hoping. We have Farfu11 sitting in the Twitch chat, hopefully looking to see what his AlphaTauri team are able to do. You can just see here, guys, we are just waiting to see the first drivers come out of the pits here in this session. So you say that, Dom, you were talking to a number of drivers over the last few days, Liverpool Union being one of them. I believe you were able to get a quick word with the man who is currently in second place in the driver standings, unable to race today in Farfu 11. Were you able to get any comments on him in terms of him not being able to race this evening?
Yeah, Farfu said that, I asked him how he was feeling about not being able to race this weekend, and he said it's going to put him in a difficult situation. He needs to count on some mistakes from Ewan, but he said that he's a very clean, very solid driver and should bring home the points tonight, which is going to give him that disadvantage. Now, like I said, he did say he was gutted that he wasn't racing tonight, but he did state that, whilst he's not able to race tonight, he said having raced this track before himself, he said track position is crucial in Suzuka when it comes to qualifying. He said running a high downforce setup may be faster, but it will make overtaking just that bit harder on the main straight. He said a lot of overtaking might be done into turn 1 and in the last chicane, but he reckons that the strategy is going to be a little bit different on the boots tonight. So it'll all depend. Due to the importance of the safety car in this track, I'm seeing several drivers on outlaps on reds actually. Peach, Saini, DJ Danny, Riser 410, Stallion, Liverpool U102, CSR, Maitland, Don Crouchy, Jamie 29X, Sir Sharks, Nathan HRX, Mufasta, Kayleen, and Botched Gerbil, all on reds on their outlap.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see that. Looking at the screen here, has DJ Danny actually gone out onto a set? He has. DJ Danny has actually gone out onto a set of medium tyres here to set an outlap. Now I'm wondering, do you see that as him possibly setting a banker lap to just try and get a lap under his belt, or do you think this is very much DJ Danny trying to actually set his qualifying time on these medium tyres to try and possibly run a different strategy to everyone else?
If team orders have come into play, like we spoke about, there's a chance that they might have strategized how they're going to win this race in top 1 and 2. He might just be going out, setting himself for time and just finding his place on the grid, coming out on a set of softs later. But if he does, that's wasting a set of mediums for the race. And like I said, safety car's important here. If he needs those mediums later in the race, this might not be the set that he gets.
As you can see on screen, guys, we are going to ride on board with DJ Danny, just as he starts this first flying lap, and we'll see how the session takes hold. Has got a slightly slow-moving Nathan there. Nathan does move over though, lets DJ Danny through.
This is a fast lap.
The end of sector 1. Maitland has already set a fast lap. Maitland sets the first lap of this qualifying session, a 1:26.5 from Maitland in the Haas.
A 1:26.5. It's a good starting point. I can see Maitland going back out again maybe, just to get that improvement on that lap. You got to think the track is still green. There's not much rubber on it. No one's locked up in places yet, so the wheels aren't going to be as fast over the track, or grippy for that matter. And Jamie 29X posting a 1:27.119. Liverpool Ewan going out on his fast lap on a set of softs and a 1:26.186. Now that's pretty fast.
Indeed, Ratter there coming with a 1:26.8. As you can see now, the drivers just starting to set their first lap times. And as DJ Danny crosses line in P5, 1:27.2, nearly a second off of his teammate though.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think of that?
For sure. On the mediums, the difference in the medium tire to the soft tire is about a second. He goes back out on the softs and does the exact same lap, maybe just that little bit faster in places where I'm riding on board with him as well, and I'd seen a few mistakes he'd made, and and it's just little niggles that get to you, and especially if we're getting that. Oh, we are getting a double dry session, so it is double dry. So yeah, you could see Danny go back out on the set of softs and beat and shave a second off this time, maybe a second point one. If a second point one comes, oh, Peach has just been disqualified from the session.
I have just noticed that.
Yeah, he was parked in an illegal spot. Let's take a look down to that yellow sector. We've got a... I'm trying to find one now.
There we go. Put the track map up on the right hand side as well there, just so people can see. We would assume here that DJ Danny is going to just pop himself into the pits. He's not. Wow, interesting decision here by DJ Danny, going out for a second hot lap on these medium tyres.
That might
He's
explain...
looking to try and improve on that time.
That might explain the lap time. If he's going out for another lap, then you know, whilst the tyres might now be worn in, you've got that second lap in on a set of mediums. The set of mediums are probably better on lap 2, especially in qualifying, because you've got 3 laps under your belt, 2 laps under your belt by that point, because you've got the out lap as well. If you know, if anything I've ever done comes into play, you'll find that he might post a faster lap time. He's now down in 7th, he's probably going to be hoping to get that faster lap time, especially with 10 minutes remaining. He's not going to want to do a fast lap, have to come back in and quick swap to the softs, so maybe he's going to find that extra half a second, maybe.
I'm just having a think here. Peach is the reserve driver in place of Farfu this evening in the AlphaTauri. Leading on to what we were saying in our little intro, with the fact that Peach being the sole AlphaTauri this evening, starting at the back of the grid now, surely this now plays even more into the hands of that Renault team.
Danny has come into the pits. He didn't finish that lap. Yeah. The AlphaTauri boys, if watching at the moment, are probably going to be nail biting on the edge of their seat, worried that they're not going to get that point list from tonight's race. With an 18 man strong grid, there's a chance that he can come back. I mean, Max Verstappen done it in Monaco in 2018, so there's always that chance that Peach can do it here in Suzuka. Maybe a bit of late braking into turn 1 might get him up to 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 positions, and then he's got the rest of the race to focus. And as a wise man once said, a race is, you know, there's a reason a race has multiple laps. If it was a sprint race, it wouldn't be fun. You wouldn't have the risk of losing a position to a person that's on a better strategy than you. So he's always got strategy to play into, and that could just solidify the minds of the 2 AlphaTauri drivers right now.
As we see here, Liverpool Ewan, the current championship leader, going to start his second flying lap here in qualifying. Just under 9 minutes left in this session here. Still have 5 drivers yet to set a lap time yet. Those being Saney 10, VSL Wilsey, James F1 etc. and Kayleen 11. Interesting that both Mercedes yet to set a lap time. From a racing driver's point of view, are you looking to sort of wait for the track to wear in that a little bit more before you go and put your hot lap out there? As we have got a yellow flag here at the hairpin. A little bit of congestion here from a few drivers. But are they going to move out of the way? Move faster, moves out of the way of Ewan, who is on his hot lap.
Yeah, and Ewan's in sector 2.
Are you waiting for the drivers?
Yeah. I can see the 2 Mercedes drivers waiting it out. They've got another 8 minutes. We're talking 1 minute 30 laps, really. And that's a 3/10, almost 4/10 of a second faster through Sector 3 for Liverpool Ewan there. Sorry to interrupt myself there in a way. Is he going to push the faster lap time and solidify P1? Yes, he is. A 1:25.734.
1:25. What a lap time there from Liverpool Ewan.
Almost
Currently riding on board with one of those Mercedes in Kayleen. He is now on an outlap, just approaching the end of Sector 2. Sorry to cut in front of you there, Dom.
Yeah, no, I was just going to go back
see
and
what the Mercedes do.
And say that if you're looking at making sure you go out at the optimal time. You don't want too many cars on track, and he might have actually come back into a strong spot here. He also might be in a really bad spot for traffic. I mean,
there looks to be quite a few cars coming through that area of the track. Nearing 130R now is Kayleen.
Yeah.
Looking to try and see if he can get that little bit of gap, that little bit of clean air.
Yeah, and you also don't want the car.
Significant hot lap.
You also don't want the car standing on the track for too long. At Suzuka, it can get pretty hot down there. In Asia, and that can start to play an effect on the tyres. If the car stands for too long, are they going to heat up? Are they going to cool down? Track temperature and ambient temperature of the air will change that. So, had he have come out when there was a bit less traffic, he might be on a better lap right now. He might have just that bit more grip. But we're about to see what he's about to post. As he flies through the S-bends.
Indeed, flying up through the S-bends, up onto the end of Sector 1 here. XHRC there, 1:26.0, moves himself into second place.
A 32.243 first sector. That's competitive. It's competitive.
DJ Danny has indeed gone out on a set of soft tyres and has set a 1:26.3. Still a good 6/10 off of his teammate though.
Yeah, he's going to be starting behind him.
Currently joining him on that front go.
He's going to be starting behind his teammate, and that's going to play a bit on his mind. Maybe a slingshot into turn 1, or maybe just that undercut into turn 1 as well. He might go between the two drivers and force a gap that isn't there. And Kayleen's just put in a fast second sector as well. So keep an eye out there.
Just moving in through the Casio triangle now with Kayleen. Going to ride on board as he goes to cross the line. And as Kayleen crosses the line, he crosses the line with
1:28.1.
1:28.1 from Kayleen.
Ah, but his lap time looks to have been invalidated.
Looks to have been invalidated. Interesting.
Oh, and he spun it in the S-bends. That's Kayleen
not what
out.
you want. That is terminal damage as well to that Mercedes. Maybe pushing that a little bit too hard, do you think, Dom?
Yeah, he definitely pushed a bit too hard into turn 2. He's definitely left his mechanics a big repair job there. As we know, it's F1 2020. It's a game, and the car will be ready for race day. But had that have been Suzuka, and he'd have been there, and that had happened, I can probably tell you that, you know, Toto Wolff would be going absolutely mental at him right now. There is a yellow flag in Sector 2 and 3, now gone green.
Yeah, end of Sector 2 and 3. I think that may have probably just been slow-moving drivers allowing others on hot laps to come through. Riding on board here with IRL Matt, as I say, making his 36th race start here in IRL XBOX League racing. Massive, massive, long-term
Maitland has just posted a slightly faster first sector for himself. It might be enough to bring him up above Botch Jibble as well. We'll just see as he flies through the hairpin and into 200R. Yeah, 200R. Actually, I've just thought there's two of them actually, and it's kind of weird.
There's 200R here, which is the long right-hander, before you come around the long curve here and then lead down to turn 15, which, as many people know, is famously known as 130R here at Suzuka. Riding on board now with Maitland.
That's the second sector of the track.
The end of the lap. That was purple in Sector 2. Maitland really getting some speed out of this Haas here. Comes through the Casio triangle. Coming through the final corner here. What sort of lap time are we looking to see from Maitland?
A 126.148.
Moves himself up into third place. Key point here, he is ahead of DJ Danny. DJ Danny slowly moving further and further down the grid here. If you're DJ Danny, are you looking to try and see if you can set maybe a double run maybe on these last set of soft tyres, or are you just looking to try and bank and hit one perfect lap and hope everything comes together?
With Liverpool Ewan being in the pits, Danny will now know that Maitland's posted that faster lap time, and exactly how fast he's got to beat. If he's giving it his all in the first 2 laps, you might find that he might make a mistake in this next lap, and that could change his qualifying and his race mentality completely. There's a chance that he could take the first position, though. I mean, he's fast enough. He's proven that over the last couple of races, and we're about to see as he starts his lap in just a couple of seconds.
Yeah, just making his way through 130R now on his outlap. Liverpool Ewan has also now come out and is on another outlap himself. Do you think that's just to sort of solidify his spot in P1, providing Danny puts in a faster lap time?
If Danny catches the pace here, then yes, that is what it's for. If not, it's to scrub a set of softs. Personally, what Danny's done here, scrubbed a set of mediums and gone onto the softs for the rest, that's a good shout, and Danny's actually invalidated his lap time.
We invalidated a lap time there from Danny, so that, I think, is going to be Danny's qualifying session over there. I don't think Danny's going to be able to get round in time to be able to set another hot lap.
There's a chance. There's a chance he can get that hot lap in.
Right on board with Botched Gerbil, who is just making his way through those Senna S's on a hot lap. Currently sitting in 5th position with a 126.5. 8 tenths currently off the pace.
And 2 tenths off Danny. That's close. But this is F1, not the rally. That's also a million miles away in F1. So, we'll see. As it comes to 200R.
Key thing here to note that the session is now over. So anyone who is on a hot lap, this will be the last chance they are going to get to try and set a hot lap. This is normally in the F1 world where things get rather frantic, as all drivers are rapidly trying to make sure that they can get through and get every little tenth of a second out of these cars. As you can see on screen, guys, the guys that are currently greyed out are those who have retired from the session because they're not looking to drive anymore. Bosch Gerbil crosses the line, 126.355, takes that second row on the grid alongside Maitland, and this is a very strong qualifying session here from the Williams team. First and second rows on the grid. XHRC currently sitting in P2. Botch Gerbil putting himself in on P4. That is a very strong qualifying performance from that Williams team.
9,000ths of a second faster than Danny. Now, if I was Danny in this scenario, I'd be throwing everything, including the kitchen sink, out the window. I would be so mad with myself that I'd posted that red lap time. Can he recover? Of course he can. I mean, the Renault car is a good foundation, and as long as he set his car up perfectly the way he wants it and the way he feels, then he could take that position back. And there's always that question that's going to be in his mind now of, am I going to be able to beat him? Maybe. It's always going to be a maybe now. What do I do? As there's contact under, funnily enough, there was contact there underneath the AI driving on Botched Gerbil.
Very interesting there. As you can see, guys, the session officially over now, guys. Bot Sherwell on screen there. Currently looking to start the race on P4. P4 there. As you can see from the timing screens there, Liverpool Ewing 125.734 takes pole position. XHRC in second place, 3/10 off the pace, with CSR Maitland in third in the Haas. DJ Danny currently third in the Drivers' Championship, down in 5th place there. What do you think is going through Danny's mind now, knowing that he's on the third row of the grid, with 4 cars separating him and his teammate, who is also that championship leader?
He knows he's got to make up time. He definitely knows he has to make up time. And with the undercut on this track being that strong, it'll be nice to see him come. I mean, with Ewan taking the right of way really into the pit lane, is he going to go personal mentality and come in and undercut his teammate? It's what he's going to have to do to get that position back, and maybe even get the win. Like I said, are they going to play team orders, or are they going to go one for themselves? It'll be different.
What would you be looking to do if you were in that sort of position?
If I was Danny,
would you be looking for constructors' points, especially knowing that the driver in second place, neither of the regular drivers for the team that are also in second place in the constructors' championship able to drive tonight? Are you looking to try and consolidate those constructors' points as much as you can, or are you looking to try and consolidate that driver standings?
If I was Danny, knowing how close I am to Farfu, I would definitely be looking for a win, and that's where team orders would come into play. If I had the ability to take Liverpool Ewan, I'd be saying to him constantly, look, we could get a 1-2 in the drivers' standings, as well as that position 1 in the constructors, and it'll be hard for him to come back. But one light on the grid, and we are on formation.
Are now going round on that formation lap here in Suzuka. Liverpool Ewing leading everyone away, whilst the drivers are on this formation lap, ladies and gents. Just going to take a quick moment to direct you all into the direction of the Invictus Racing League YouTube channel, where the PlayStation and PC leagues are both streamed. So if you type in the Twitch chat !YouTube, that will take you over to the Invictus Racing League YouTube channel. And please, guys, whilst you're over there, go over there, drop a little subscription on the on that YouTube channel there. You have got, on a week-by-week basis, on a Monday, you have got F1 on the PlayStation being streamed by Gareth and Sab. Alongside us on a Tuesday, you have got F2 on the PlayStation being streamed by Malk and Nitrogash. Obviously, you've got myself and Dom here on the Xbox, here on Twitch. On a Wednesday evening, you have got PC F1, and on a Thursday evening, you have got PlayStation Realistic Performance, streamed by Tim and Malk, again on that YouTube channel.
Yeah, and also, thank you for stopping by, guys.
Info on there.
Thank you for stopping by, and if you're still here, thank you for sticking around with both myself and Kieran as we take our first steps together into commentating this evening at Suzuka for Invictus Racing League. You can also check the website at InvictusRacingLeague.com, and you can check the standings, and you can even apply. There are always spots available. PlayStation still have their spots open, and I believe PC still have a few spots for drivers there as well. So definitely go on over to the website if you want to take part. You can apply there, and all the fancy jewels, shall we say.
There we go. As we see the drivers lining up on the grid here, you've got the tyres that all drivers have started on the left-hand side of the screen there. All of the top 10 on those soft tyres. In fact, everyone down to P11 in mats, all on those soft tyres. We're waiting for those 5 red lights to go out. 5 red lights are out, and away we go. Pretty strong start here by Liverpool Ewan. Liverpool Ewan taking the lead into that first corner. There was a little bit of debris flying away at the back there, though.
Yes, I shall investigate.
This looks to be possibly the Mercedes of James F1.
No, you have a Alfa Romeo in Nathan HRX, who's missing an end plate after a collision with the Ferrari of Don Crouchy.
And there we go. We have a full course safety car. Full course safety car has been brought out here at Suzuka on lap 1.
Yeah, Jamie 29X is no longer in the race. He's crashed out just after the S-Bends, just before Sector 2. Now, after not finishing a race so far this season, this is now going to play a big part on his head. And like like you said earlier, I have had the chance to speak to him as well before the race, and he said that he does try to clear his mind of previous incidents. And after this, I think he's just going to want to clear his mind of the league, and just get past it and get through the rest of this season and just start the new season afresh, because four spinouts in a row, that's brutal.
As we see here, some cars are looking to just catch up to the back of the safety car here. We have had VSL Wilsey has popped himself into the pits here. VSL Wilsey, are you wondering, could that be for damage or a possible change in strategy? Maybe going onto the hard tyre and trying to run a very, very long, and it is VSL Wilsey moving himself onto those hard tyres here.
Yeah, Maitland's also double stacked behind him as well. Nathan HRX replacing a wing, the same as Maitland. And I believe Stallion's doing the same thing. So you've got a few drivers that are all replacing body parts there, which is going to set them back. Strategies are now going to be a lot different. Drivers looking to take tyres, the hards to the end. It's doable. The tyres will last till the end.
If I remember rightly, in yesterday's PlayStation race, I believe there was someone that ran the hard tyres for, I think it was about 25 laps, before they did eventually get a front right puncture as they crossed the finishing line, proving on the PlayStation side of things that it is possible to run a very, very long hard tyre stint here. Could this be the greatest play that we could possibly see in the F1 2020 game here on the Xbox League by VSL Woolsey here, running those hard tyres to the end of the race?
My telemetry's also saying we've got Sharks as well. I'm just flicking through camera types. Yeah, we've got Sharks and Nathan HRX on those hard tyres as well. If those tyres all go bang at the same time, we could have a big pile up towards the midfield. It could cause a lot of issues. And what they'll all be blaming each other.
Moving on to lap number 3 here in this Japanese Grand Prix. Cars still behind the safety car. This is the second lap with them now under the safety car. Normally with the F1 2020 game, you have 3 laps under the safety car before everyone goes back racing, just to give those back markers enough time to catch up to the back of the pack, so they're not a million miles away when racing resumes. In terms of drivers, you have got Liverpool Ewan out in front, XHRC in second, and Botch Gerbil overtaking Danny into P3 there.
Yeah,
currently a 2-3 for the Williams team.
There's been some timing errors in this race, but I think they look to have all sorted themselves, and with Danny pulling up a position as well from P5, I believe it was, in qualifying.
It was.
He's definitely, he's definitely pulled the rabbit out of the hat. And I mean, I'm pretty sure we said about Peach having a bad qualifying because he was disqualified. I mean, he's now up to 11th from 18. Now, all drivers have been moved up a place in the order, thanks to Jamie 29X. However, this now allows for, well, I mean, Peach can go out and do some damage with some speed, some really quick, rapid speeds on those softs, overtaking maybe both Don Crouchy and Mufasa on the mediums, the slower of the two compounds. Now, Liverpool Ewan is going to want to look to cool down that front left brake for a start. A lot of heat coming off of there, a lot of steam and a lot of smoke. So he's going to want to look to cool that down. He's also going to want to look to keep his tyres warm. However, he's not going to want to use them too much. Safety car is in this lap, so maybe a bit of last minute heat up, but not too much tyre wear, otherwise those tyres could be gone before you know it, and coming in on lap 10, maybe 11, which is what we saw last night, might not be viable anymore, thanks to the warming of the tyres. Now, are we going to pull a Bottas here?
Racing again.
Or is he's going to get the jump into turn 1, into the final turn, sorry, meaning that XHRC, and is that Danny looking at making a position on Bottas into turn 1? It is. Danny's really looking for that gap. He's just trying to find the slipstream on one of the Williams drivers here. Now, having a Renault and a Williams up that high is unnatural, but to have it Renault, Williams, Williams, Renault, that's different.
We have got a yellow flag in Sector 1 at the start of the S-bend. I believe that is Maitland. Possibly running a little bit wide and now moving himself down into 17th position here. Trying to recover from a possible slight error, maybe running a little bit wide into turn 1. As we see the leaders coming through 200R. DJ Danny still trying to see if he can make that move on Botch Gerbil. I think it would be his best opportunity to make an overtake now would indeed be into 130R. Is he going to make that move though?
I think he's too far back at this point. It might be the undercut that gets him the win, and he's just posted a fastest second sector, so he's beaten the boys out in front of him for that second sector speed, and there's a big lockup from HRC in P2 there into the second to last corner. Liverpool Ewan with a 1:37, fastest lap of the race.
Still have that yellow flag there in Sector 1 coming up to turns 2 and 3. I'm wondering whether that means there's a little bit of debris on the track possibly. Just needs to be cleared by the game.
Very possibly.
Didn't see anything as the drivers were coming through there though.
IRL Mats looks to have lost a few positions due to some off-track rally cross that he's been trying on the Red Bull by the looks of it. I know they're a multi-sport company and all that, but I didn't know that these ones were built to go off-road mats. Definitely time to loosen up the suspension if that's the case. But the looks of it, he just lost it out of turn 1 into turn 2, and he's just lost the back end onto the gravel bank.
We're right on board with Wilsey here, the leader of the 3 drivers on the hard tyre, trying to stay with Peach, who is on those softs, as unfortunately Wilsey loses that back end ever so slightly, coming out of that left-hander on the run up to 130R here, looking to now have to try and recover this time that he has lost to Peach. But I'm sure Wilsey is a pretty strong driver. I'm sure there's something that he is able to do. Liverpool Ewan, Razzler, sorry, 130.666, setting the fastest lap of the race as the stewards now enable DRS.
That's going to play very well into DJ Danny's hands. The DRS being active is going, I mean, with Botch Gerbil being, you know, a half a second from his teammate, but, you know, even HRC being that second 0.1 away from Liverpool Ewan, that's a good thrill there for P2, and all of them with DRS, that could be on the dangerous side, especially coming into turn 1, all of those carrying pace. The track's wide enough for it, but it does narrow into turn 1, so we might just see maybe some cautious driving for the next lap or two. there is an issue further back with Kayleen. He does have... Stallion has the NF.
Fortunately, Stallion looks to have retired from the race here. Which is...
If you take a look at Kayleen's car for me as well, he is missing 90% of the right-hand side of his front wing. That is going to put him back around that 10-second a lap mark. No safety car, just a yellow flag. It doesn't look like too much of an issue. Kayleen definitely going to be making that pit stop now, probably onto the whites. I wouldn't bet against it. It is definitely the better compound to be on to finish the race without two stopping, as it will take way too long. Kayleen just picked up another 3-second time penalty, and a 5-second in the pit lane. He is not having a good race. He's just retired the car in the pits.
Unfortunately, Kayleen has now decided to retire his car. Not the things you like to see. You like to try and see as many drivers as possible crossing that finish line at the end of a race. Liverpool Ewan still out in front. The most important thing to note here is that Liverpool Ewan has got himself outside of DRS range from HRC.
Don Crouchy looking at a move on Mufasta into the hip.
Ex-HRC are not able to get that DRS on Liverpool Ewan. The DRS straight. Let's go and have a quick look at this midfield battle here between
Saini looking at a move into 130R. Is he going to go around him? Will he have the speed? Will he have the confidence? He goes wide, he looks for it. Unfortunately, the opportunity is just not there today. However, that will give him DRS.
Gonna make that move on the start finish straight on Don Crouchy here, possibly. Saini and Don Crouchy side by side going into turn one. Who's gonna have the confidence to go late? No, Saini looks to pull out there. Saini looks to pull out into turn one there. Don Crouchy able to build a bit more of a gap now, just over a second between himself and
James
Saini.
F1 is looking at a move on Raza in P5 and 6 there. That is a close neck-and-neck battle that has had the delta split between them jump from about 6/10 between them to about a 10th between them at one point. So we'll just keep I'll just keep an eye on that. I don't know if you will too, but
yeah, we are currently riding on board with James F1, etc. Moving up to try and see if he can make that move on Raza going through 130R. Less than half a second between. This could possibly be a very strong move here by James as he moves up to behind Raza as they are coming through 130R, coming into the Casio triangle.
Oh, he's hit the grass.
Is James going to make the move?
He's hit the grass.
He's not made the... yeah.
That's going to cause hell on those tires.
Over Raza though.
His pit window has now opened as well.
James.
So
over the outside of Raza there into turn one. James is going to make that stick. James moves himself up into P4. DJ Danny in the pits here for the Renault team, moving himself onto those medium tyres.
yeah, definitely. And James's pit lane has just told him that he is okay to come in now to change those reds for possibly the yellows. I would be surprised if it wasn't. After having taken Raza like that, I would now want to be staying out for that lap. It's too risky to come in and waste a possible lap on the softs, and maybe that lap of extra pace, especially against the yellow compound.
As you see here, still riding on board with James F1 as he moves up through 130R. Is he going to look to try and consolidate that gap between himself and Raza? Maybe even play a double bluff and hope that Raza comes into the pits first, enabling him that extra lap to be able to try and push even more, or will he come into the pit as his pit window has opened? We'll have a look.
He's coming in
James
himself.
has come into the pits.
And HRC has just got himself a 5-second time penalty for not slowing down enough into the pit lane. That could change the whole just race for him. That could give Danny provisional P1.
Yeah, depending on the rest of this race unfolds, a 5-second time penalty for speeding the pit lane is not what you'd like to see. It's not ideal. Riding on board here with Botch Gerbil, 1.5 seconds viewing at the front of the pack here. Both drivers on 9-lap old soft tyres. You would expect, if they are going to come in to pit for the medium tyre, the normal optimal strategy is to come in and pit on about lap 11. So you're expecting these drivers to go another lap at least before they're thinking about potentially putting on those medium tyres and running till the end of the race on those mediums.
Oh, for sure. Liverpool Ewan and Danny are probably in constant communication right now just to make sure that they know what the splits are like, that they know how it's going to pan out in favour of the P1, P2 for them both. Now,
interesting decision here. Botch Gerbil has come into the pits. Liverpool Ewan staying out for another lap.
I'm going to just take
Botch
an onboard
Gerbil has ended up pitting.
He does look to be slightly slow. Not in issue, but you can see the cords starting to show through on his front, left and right tyres. So he's probably feeling like Bambi on ice right about now. And that's a polite way of putting it.
Botch Gerbil moving himself onto those medium tyres, and the key thing to note there, guys, if you see on the left hand side of the screen, DJ Danny has been able to come back ahead of Botch Gerbil in the pit lane there.
So that undercut has
not
worked.
Able to get it there. The undercut for that Renault from DJ Danny worked. DJ Danny currently now in P9, 1.2 seconds off of HRC.
I'm just looking to see. There is a chance. Danny is currently seconds off the lead, with an average estimated pit time of about 21 seconds, 2 seconds on his teammate to take the pole position. He's got provisional P2.
Lap number 11 here. Will Liverpool Ewan come into the pits now at the end of lap 11? He does. What we will do now is we will go and look at DJ Danny as he is coming through 1:30. Is he going to get through that little bit of traffic that he has in front of him, or possibly even start a little train?
Mufasta and Don Crouchy take P1 and 2 as of now. But like I said,
here's the key thing to note. Liverpool Ewan on his way out of the pits. DJ Danny coming through under pressure from Botch Gerbil here. Can Gerbil take him on the outside of turn number 1? Botch Gerbil runs a little bit wide. He's going to try the switch back into turn 2. No, Danny is able to hold on, and Ewan stays ahead of his teammate. Liverpool Ewan currently in P6 following that pit stop.
Yeah.
Very much work now for Danny to do to try and see if he can get the race win this evening here in Suzuka.
Yeah, for sure. Liverpool Ewan's got provisional P1. And DJ Danny's got provisional P2 for now. Good defensive maneuvers there to keep himself out of trouble with the contact there from Botch Gerbil. Almost having an issue with Nathan HRX and DJ Danny in the same corner.
DJ Danny now running through on that run down to 130R. He's probably going to come under a fair bit of pressure here from Botch Gerbil. We will ride on board with the Williams driver. There was contact there between Botch Gerbil and DJ Danny. I think Botch Gerbil just got a little bit too close to DJ Danny's rear wing. Not sure whether that has caused any damage to that Williams though. He has stayed out. He will now get DRS on DJ Danny. Is he going to go for a move down into turn 1 here? Lap 13 of 27. Danny moves to the right to defend the apex of the corner and is very, very strong in defense there. Botched Gerbil going to have to go back to the drawing board and see if he can work a way around that Renault of DJ Danny. As DJ Danny does go onto the grass there through turn 4, losing a little bit of speed there. He's going to put himself back under pressure now from Botched Gerbil. Is Gerbil going to be able to possibly make a move maybe into 200R and round the long hairpin?
So we were saying
end
that
of sector 2.
So we were saying that Liverpool Ewan was almost insane for taking those rides that extra lap, but I've just witnessed Peach78 come in for his first pit stop of the race after spending 12 laps on the red tyres. Will that be enough to make the yellows optimised for that extra lap, or do you think it's going to give him that extra grip into the last few corners that you won't be getting with the yellow tyres? And we've lost Nathan to a wall by the looks of it.
It's not the sort of thing you want to be hearing if you are a fan of Nathan HRX.
He's not lost to a wall, but
Ewan.
he is definitely seeing some what looks like grip issues into 130 are giving him a 3-second time penalty on the outside, with the track limits are, let's just say, less than fair.
Riding on board with our current race leader, Move Faster, just under a second lead between himself and Maitland in the Haas. Very, very good recovery drive here from Maitland. You remember at the start of the race, Maitland very, very much fell down the order. Fought his way back up to P2, now within half a second of Mufasa. Could this lead to a overtaking opportunity, possibly into 200 or 130R here? Both drivers now coming round the hairpin. Maitland really trying to look and see if he can close that gap. We will ride on board with Maitland as he is trying to close that gap on Mufasa in that run up to 130R. Bear in mind, both drivers are on the medium tyre. Maitland's tyres, though, the key thing to know here, are 2 laps younger.
Yeah, he's definitely going to have the
got
grip
that extra
advantage. He's also going to have the speed advantage. They're not going to have as many stones, bits of chip-ins of concrete, grass, gravel, or even other bits of tyres from other drivers on them. We'll be expecting to see them come in within maybe the next 2 laps for the red compound. And Maitland has just taken that P1 on the faster tyre with the DRS, and I'm guessing he's used the ERS to do so as well. Maybe even a bit of mixture in the fuel just to get in that boost that has got him almost a second gap.
I think as they turned that final corner there, I think Mufasa sort of knew that the end was coming there, just moved over and just let Maitland go through. Knew that there wasn't really much point in fighting it. He knows that there's still that chance that he's going to be able to get back up into those positions with the ability of him moving onto those soft tyres later on in the race.
Yeah, looking at previous pit strategies done on this track before, you're looking at stopping laps 16 to 18 for the soft tyre here for the front 3. No, the front 2, sorry. So those boys will be looking to just get their heads down, get some speed, maybe the mid-table finish, because of the fact that Ewan and Sharks, who doesn't look like he's got a pit anytime soon, are rather close. Now 21 seconds.
I think the tyre wear from Mufasa here is really starting to affect him. Now very much under pressure from our championship leader, Liverpool Ewan, who is going to have DRS here, coming down this main straight. Liverpool Ewan peels off to the right hand side, and that is quite an easy overtake there for your championship leader. Moves himself up into P2, just under a second and a half away from CSR Maitland in that Haas. Do you think Liverpool Ewan has it in him to be able to take that P1 from Maitland?
Oh, for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised if Maitland does the honourable sportsmanship thing of just getting out of the way. I mean, Ewan will be sat there screaming, just, you're on tyres that are too old, get out the way, and Maitland's tyres will be screaming, we're too old, get out the way, and you'll probably find that he'll be very, very sportsmanlike about this and just take that extra second to just move out of the way of the faster driver who is going to get the pole position for the end of the race by the looks of it anyway. He just retired from the session. He's not finished.
That is very, very unfortunate here for the AlphaTauri team. A very, very strong drive by Prix though, running 12 laps on those soft tyres. Most drivers only knowing to do about 9, 10 or 11. Prix going for that extra lap, running that 12th lap on those soft tyres. Fortunately, the medium tyre probably maybe not giving him as much grip as those softs are. As a result, Prix has had to unfortunately retire as Gerbil gets a 3-second time penalty.
There you go. Maitland just moves out of the way slightly for Ewan just to let him go around. He knows he's got the faster tyres. He knows he's got the faster car at this point. And he knows he doesn't have to pit again, so he's just let him go. It's the easier thing to do. Very sportsmanlike. Congratulations and well done, Maitland. Very, very proud.
So now riding on board with XHRC in the Williams. Teammate Box Gerbil down in 8th position, fighting with DJ Danny here.
Yes, I'm on board
quick look
with that fight. There is a train from Mufasa
there is a little bit
back.
of train forming here. I think Mufasa is very, very much starting to struggle now on the 16-lap old medium tyres.
I'm not much of a bet man myself, but I would start throwing in a huge amount of money on Mufasa coming in either this lap or next. By the looks of it, the lack of pace this lap. I mean, he's about to be taken by 2 people on hard tyres. That would be
so from this position,
painful.
If you are Mufasa, are you looking to try and run those soft tyres for 10 laps towards the end of the race here, or are you just looking?
I mean, 10 laps on the soft isn't
hold
that
those
bad.
mediums for an extra lap.
10 laps on the softs isn't that bad. You've got the cord coming through, and you'll start to lose grip. But I mean, the boys out the front, Liverpool U and HRC, etc., all going to be seeing the same amount of wear at the end of the race anyway. So we're about to see as he goes in for the soft tyre.
As you see, both Mufasa and CSR Maitland moving into the pit lane. They're changing onto those soft tyres. That will be their final pit stop, so they will now be on the fastest possible tyre for the end of the race.
Along with Don Crouchy, also on the fresh set of softs himself, almost a minute and 6 seconds behind the leader of the race here. That is almost lapping territory.
Indeed, as we see riding on board here, DJ Danny up into P5, Box Gerbil P6. Box Gerbil really getting close to that rear wing of Danny. We will ride on board as they are driving through 200R, coming up to the long hairpin. VSL Woolsey under pressure from DJ Danny too, as you can see just ahead. Sir Shaw in P3 at present. The 2 guys on the hard tyres there at the front of this train. DJ Danny and Botched Gerbil behind. Are we looking to see moves into one? DJ Danny very much looking like he could be looking for a move on VS Woolsey into the Casio triangle. Has a little look on the outside. Decides that discretion is the better part of valor here. Instead, going to look to try and take both of these drivers.
Danny's coming to the pits.
DJ Danny coming into the pits. Do you think this is for a fresh set of soft tyres?
By the looks of the clouds ahead, definitely. The track will be a lot cooler, and he will have a lot more grip at this point on those softs. I'm not quite sure why he's done this. He might have compromised his race. If this is a move by Liverpool Ewan, he should not have listened.
Very, very good move there by CSR Maitland into turn 1. Unfortunately, does get a 3-second time penalty on exit for those track limits. The track limits here at Suzuka are very, very strict.
Yeah, stricter than parents in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s for sure. And trust me, they were strict. I mean, track limits here can get you several positions lost, but with the top, I mean, P2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all having a time penalty of sort, you'll probably find, I mean, Maitland's in the mix, and on those soft tyres he's going to start catching James F1 now, and that time penalty could come into play, especially if James has got more than Maitland on time penalties.
We are going to ride on board with Maitland as he is making his way up through 130R. That's got a little bit of a time gap. Try and see if he can make up. He is currently 7 seconds behind James F1. So we will quickly move to James, who is on those hard tyres. Those 9-lap-old hard tyres, as Maitland sets the fastest lap of the race. A 128.1 by CSR Maitland there. Really looking to try and see if he can get everything he can out of these tyres and bridge that gap between him and James F1 at the front of this pack.
Oh, for sure. And just funny, I had so many little facts and you know, little tips and stuff about this track ready to go, and I'd almost memorized all of them, but I don't think they're needed. I mean, the race has been good enough as it is without the tips, but I'll give you one. Did you know that the corner 130R has had redesigns over the years, and it wasn't even to Formula 1, it was to MotoGP, and if not for the speed and the sheer adrenaline that those bikes caused, it would not be as fast as it is today.
Currently riding on board here with DJ Danny. He has made a move on Mufasta up into P10. He is going to be getting himself at least one championship point here. 0.8 seconds behind Sir Sharks here as he runs wide on exit of the long hairpin there. We do have a yellow flag in Sector 1. Is that Don Crouchy? It is Don Crouchy. He's run a little bit wide coming out of the center. Moving in towards the Degner curve at the end of Sector 1. I think that is some wing damage there on his front left-hand side of his wing.
It
Don
is.
will be able to go in and have a little look.
He's lost his end plate, and that is going to cause some significant time loss, especially on 2-lap-old softs. He is going to be kicking himself inside that car right now. He's going to pit for a fresh wing. He's run wide onto the gravel trap there as well, so
I think that was partially moving out of the way of Liverpool Ewing there, as the race leader did come through for the lap there.
He's now a blue flagger, he's a back marker, he's a liability to the rest of the track. He's gonna have to get himself on the softs or on a set of mediums, just something to get him to the end of this race and get him the mental solidity of finishing at Suzuka, one of the hardest tracks in the world. I'd put it up there with Monaco and Baku.
Riding on board here with Sir Sharks, under pressure here from Nathan HRX and more importantly DJ Danny. Moving on to those soft tyres. Dom was questioning whether that was the correct move by DJ Danny, but DJ Danny moves himself up into P9, side by side with Nathan here as they go into 130R.
And he's come
DJ
off better.
Danny gets that move on Nathan HRX, and he's going to be able to get himself that DRS on Sir Sharks, going down into turn 1 as we move into lap number 22 of 27 here at Suzuka. We have 6 laps left of this race. Is DJ Danny going to make a move into turn 1? Gets very, very close to the back of Sir Sharks going into turn 2, but Sir Sharks is able to get his McLaren in that defensive position and unable to give Danny the space to get past. DJ Danny here really looking to try and push forward as best as he can to try and get himself those extra championship points. Currently sitting 6 points behind Farfu in the driver's standings. Anything 4th place or better for DJ Danny would enable him to get 2nd place in that driver's standings. Do you think, Dom, from this current position in P9 with 6 laps to go, or 5.5 laps to go, is that possible for DJ Danny to get himself up into that top 4?
I'm looking at the gap at the moment. moment. It's a hard fight. Seconds behind the lead, about 15 seconds behind the leader. He's got about 15, P4 is about, half the distance closer to Liverpool U than DJ Danny is, so he's going to be really fighting not only a, mental battle to keep himself consistent in his laps but fast, but also physical battle now as the track temperatures start to drop, as the overcast clouds start to come out to play. I have been told that the track is going to stay dry.
Yes, we have been told it is going to be a dry race throughout the entirety of this session. DJ Danny was able to make a move there on Sir Sharks going through 130R. So DJ Danny has been able to move himself up into P8, getting very close to the rear end of Razza there.
Pushing Razza.
Did just get a time penalty as well.
Yeah, that's the mental fortitude. That's the mental fortitude of these drivers. I've had it myself. You've got someone coming up on your 6, and you're really trying to keep those old tyres, especially in Razza's case here, 12 lap old compound tyres, both warmer and fast, and it might not be doable. So he's just mentally pushing. Danny's mentally pushing Razza at this point. He's just like, come on, mate, how far can you go? How far can you go? You're slower than me. The tyres are slower than me. Everything is just mine. Just give it over, and he has taken the position as well as Sir Sharks. Are those tyres too old? Are Razza's tyres too old?
Himself down into 9th place now. I want to highlight VSL Wilsey here, up in P5 on 21 lap old hard tyres. Did say when he was coming in that he was going to be looking to run these for about 26 laps.
Yeah, it's doable, and I'm just going to take an on board with him to have a look at the condition of those tyres, and they are beyond belief. I mean, as a team principal, you're sat there looking at these tyres and you're saying, how is he doing this? As a commentator, I've just had a splash of rain on the camera. I've got a few dribbles of rain on the T-Pod camera of Nathan HRX here. It is raining in Suzuka.
There we go. We did say, guys, that there was the opportunity of rain here in Suzuka, as we see VSL Wilsey. He did cede that position to his teammate Maitland there. Haas team, they're looking for very strong constructor standing points here. Very intelligent driving there by Wilsey, not bothering to hold his teammate up, moving across to the side, letting Maitland go through. As we move on to lap number 25 here, we will quickly go and have a look at our race leader, Liverpool Ewan, as he moves up through the S-bends. You can see there, guys, the rain is now starting to fall here at Suzuka. I don't think it's going to rain hard enough to warrant the drivers coming in to change tyres, but it will very much change the mentality of some drivers to have to be slightly more conservative in their entry and exit of corners. As the track gets wetter, you don't really want to be getting yourself onto those rumble strips, because that will eventually cause a spin, and that is not what you want, especially if you're someone like Liverpool Ewan, who is pushing for that drivers championship.
I would like to say that it's not going to rain hard enough, but I'm looking at some of these cams and the camera angles that the game is giving us as standard, and it is bouncing off the floor. So it might not be raining fast, but it's raining hard. The rain is falling with some pretty high velocity to be hitting the floor that hard. And with a lap to go, I don't think, even if the heavens do open up, it's going to be worth throwing on a set of inters. I mean, those tyres are starting to warm, and yes, it's going to be hard, but it's not worth the risk going into the pits, as we see, as I see anyway, Ewan taking his way through the S-bends into the end of Sector 1 on the penultimate lap here at Suzuka in Japan.
We are riding on board here with IRL Matt, the man making his 36th race start in IRL Xbox, looking to make a move on Saney into the final corner, and is able to make that stick. He does make that stick with the DRS.
And he's almost too.
Moving himself up into P12 in this race here at Suzuka. As we say, guys, lap and a half left of this race here in Suzuka in the IRL Invictus Racing League F1 Xbox division. If you guys are enjoying what you are seeing, please consider on this Twitch channel dropping a follow on the Twitch channel, and of course exclamation mark YouTube in the chat will take you to our website, to our YouTube channel, where all races are uploaded about 24 hours after the race concludes, and is also the home of the PlayStation PC Racing Leagues. Tomorrow night there will be the PC F1 League hosted by J. Cole and Dan. They will be your commentary team tomorrow evening 8 PM on Invictus Racing League YouTube channel. So please guys, consider going over there, dropping a subscription on that YouTube channel if you haven't already, and if you are enjoying this video and you're watching this on YouTube, please consider dropping a like on it. Is very, very much appreciated from all of the guys here at the Invictus Racing League, as we are still riding on board here with IRL Matt, trying to push out a bit of a gap over Saney, just gets himself out of DRS range as we move into the final lap of the race. I think it's only fair that we move up to our championship leader, the man who is leading this race, Liverpool Ewan, a man who is going to be able to put another 15 points under his belt, plus the prospect of a fastest lap, which will increase his lead at the top of the driver's standings to a possible 18 points ahead of Farfu, who's currently in P2.
So I've
Liverpool
played some really
Casio triangle. Right, I'm just gonna commentate as Liverpool Ewan comes around the final corner to win here in Suzuka. That is the win there for Liverpool Ewan.
If you just take a quick rundown to Nathan HRX, if you take a look at his tyres, if you ride on board with him and you take a look at his tyres, the inside tyre wall is starting to show signs of wear. That is some very serious pit strategies. He's taken a hit from Max.
A bit of contact between him and Max there as they're moving through 130R here. Liverpool Ewan with the lead, botched Gerbil in second, and James F1 ETC. We didn't see it on stream as we were moving down the field to have a look at Nathan's car, but James F1 in the Mercedes gets himself the third spot on that podium.
What a great race
so your
from
top
everyone
three
involved
here, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, a fantastic, fantastic race here in Suzuka, ladies and gentlemen. Our top three are our race Liverpool Ewan 02. In second place, we did have botched Gerbil. And in third place, it was James F1 ETC in the Mercedes. We will be getting all three of our podium drivers into an Xbox party with us quite shortly to conduct a little post-race interview. I will be handing over to Dom to complete those interviews. I feel it's just better to hear that from a driver's point of view.
Yeah, who did we say we had P1?
So Liverpool Ewan is your race winner today, followed by Bots Gerbil and James F1 ETC as your third placed driver. I think possibly those time penalties from HRC may have been the reason why James was able to get that P3. We will very, very briefly get those guys into our party to join us. Joining us now is our race winner, Liverpool Ewan. Ewan, please make sure that you have got your audio included in the party. first of all, massive congratulations for getting that win. How does it feel to get that win here in Suzuka?
Yeah. Can you all hear me, by the way?
I can hear
you, mate.
Okay, nice one. No, yeah, it feels good. I was really happy with my quali lap. I went out for a final run, but there was no way I was gonna do better. It was pretty much a perfect lap, to be fair. And then yeah, the race went well. Got early on, and then I managed to get HRC out of my. So then from then I could sort of just control it, just save up my ERS, save my fuel. Then yeah, they came in quite early, so I thought, okay, now's a good time to sort of push, because I wanted to be on the fresher tyres, and I knew their tyres would be going off by the end of the race, so I wanted to do the overcut if I could. And yeah, just about worked. I don't know if you saw it on stream, but I came out just ahead of, I think it was HRC, and then yeah, managed to overtake the cars in front of me and just build up a nice little gap. So,
yeah. Some really close battles there for you today as well. Especially as you made your way back through the grid on people who were on the slower and older compound tyres as well. What was going through your mind whilst you were making your way through the grid, past those drivers who were on the yellows that were, you know, almost 15 laps old in some cases?
I didn't know if they were going to pit, to be fair, because I knew there was meant to be rain coming, so I thought maybe they were holding out on the mediums or their hards until when the rain was meant to be coming. Obviously, it wouldn't have worked, but I didn't know that at the time. So yeah, I sort of thought at the time I do need to overtake them, otherwise I'll end up finishing behind them. But yeah, again, I think I got a bit lucky, to be fair, because as soon as I got back with them, it was on the straight and I could use my DRS to overtake them. And I think, to be fair, they sort of helped me build up a bit of a gap to HRC, because I think he battled with them a lot more than I did, so that made me manage to just build up that gap a bit, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. And with the win here today, obviously you are very quickly running away with the Drivers' Championship. How are you feeling now after another win going into next race?
Yeah, feels really good as well, and I mean the closest challenger is Farfield, I think, he wasn't racing tonight, and then I think third place is Danny, and of course in a way, you know, I want to get the points with him because I'm battling with him for the championship, but at the same time I want to see him do well because we're in the same team, and you know, I want that constructors as well. So yeah, mixed emotions about where he finished, but yeah, no, I've managed to build up the gap a bit, and I'm just looking forward to next race now.
Yeah, bringing up Danny, obviously you and him are going for the Constructors' Championship very quickly as well. Obviously we can't get into the party for a post-race interview, but could you just sort of give us an insight as to what happened with Danny, why he went in for a pit stop onto the second set of softs, actually?
I have no clue. I'm not sure. I don't know if he had wing damage or maybe his tyres wouldn't have made it to the end. That could have been a possibility. He did come in lap 7 or 8, I think he came in really early. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to him. I was a bit confused as well to why he did so. Well, why he did twice.
Yeah, awesome. Well, congratulations on your race win.
Cheers, thank you.
Coming back for another one next week?
Hopefully.
Awesome.
Congratulations to you there, Ewan. Moving on to our second place driver, Botch Gerbil. Botch, well done on that second place. How does it feel to get yourself up onto that second step of the podium?
Yeah, all I'm gonna say is finally. Finally got up there on the podium. It was a tough race, but I managed to pull through at the end.
Amazing.
There were definitely some big battles between you and some of those other drivers. Did you think that if the race had gone on for that little bit longer, you would have been able to catch Ewan, or do you think he was just that little bit too fast for you today?
Well, James was closing on me pretty close at the end. If we had one more lap, he definitely would have got me, just because it started to rain, but I got really held up in traffic just trying to get by all those people on a different strategy, and that really held up. And yeah, it's just tough getting by. A lot of them race you very hard, so you have to push back a little.
Yeah, of course. And with your teammate HRC finishing in P4.
Go on.
With your teammate HRC finishing in P4 as well, very, very strong constructors performance from the Williams team here. How do you think that's going to look for you going forward into Italy and the following races in terms of a push for maybe moving up that constructors championship?
Yeah, hopefully we both can keep doing quite well in the races. Definitely want to push now. Next couple races, I'm feeling quite good about. There are a couple of my good tracks in there, so I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully HRC can battle with me there up at the front again.
Obviously, you know, HRC was supposed to take second place. Penalties put him back. Is that something you were obviously hoping for, was to get inside that penalty zone? Or were you happy enough taking constructors points if the, you know,
yeah, I was it's never nice to beat someone just because of penalties. It's always nice to beat them on track, but I was trying to keep in that penalty gap. It was 3 seconds, and then you got another one, so it went to 5, and then I just really had to sit there and not really challenge too much. I almost lost it at the end, just because I was really struggling on those mediums, especially when the rain started coming out. And luckily I was just able to get there by 10th.
As they say, very, very good second place performance for you though. But very, very, very thankful for us joining us here in a post-race interview, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Yes, thank you guys.
No problem, thank you, man. And we will move on to our third place driver, James F1 ETC. James, congratulations on that P3. How are you feeling now you've got yourself onto the podium?
Pretty decent, to be fair. As Butch said, as I crossed the line, thought maybe, well, one more lap, I'm pretty confident I'd have had second. But to be honest, that I wasn't even thinking about botched on the last lap. It was all about the just looking at the HRC gap. But yeah, no, feels good to actually get a result for once. It's been a long time coming, and literally, I ended up dipping out of quali because I straight up didn't have a setup saved. So to go from like no practice, there's not even a setup ready to load on the car. I'll gladly take that come through on the better strategy.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I can definitely understand that was something that's probably sweetens the ability that you've got that P3, especially having not had that place beforehand. Little word on your teammate for today, Kayleen, didn't have the best of races. Were you guys in communication throughout the race, or are you very much just focused on your own race whilst you're driving?
Normally, just pretty much self-focused on myself. If I'm around anybody, I'm normally telling them to be quiet at certain points. No idea on Kayleen. Obviously, we were both doing we're both going wide and spinning in quali and that, and then I just popped up, retired during the race. But yeah, I think that was alright, but normally just focus on myself. I did manage to understand why Danny made the second stop, and yeah, it was basically just because he was on the meds, and yeah, there was a bit of hoo-ha about the rain coming, and then I think it was just instead of being in the situation that Botch and HRC were in at the end, I think he wanted to dip out of that, but obviously hindsight, guessing the rain would have come a bit swifter than it actually did. But yeah, normally just myself.
That's fair enough. Next week, Monza, track you feel comfortable with, or?
Yeah, definitely. 100%. Pretty much like, as long as it doesn't rain, I'm pretty confident and happy anywhere. I think the main thing, if I can actually put a bit of practice in, then maybe, I say maybe, definitely won't be on Ewan's level, but I'll be pretty happy to be best of the rest if I can do that. So that's the aim.
I do have
Yeah,
one
well,
question if I can
massive.
jump in there,
Yeah,
Kieran.
of course, Dom. Yeah, of course you can, mate.
Obviously, like you mentioned, the rain came at the end. Your tyres weren't in the best condition. How did you find the last 3 laps after the rain did start to trickle? Because I was on board with you, I believe, at the time, and I saw a raindrop, and I was like, this could be game over for some people. This could be race over for some people. So how did you find it personally?
Well, obviously the hards. I knew that HRC, for instance, pitted the same lap as me, so I knew that whatever I was feeling, he'd be feeling, well, 10 times worse on the mediums instead. The hards were holding up really well, and they were still at like absolutely fine. Obviously, need to be a bit smoother, but in terms of actual feeling, they were still. I was surprised at how good they were. I had Maitland, I think it was, behind me on obviously fresh softs, and I believe the gap at the time when it started raining was about 3.4, and he got it down to like 2.3, and then it just sort of stabilized there. So as soon as I saw that gap stabilize with obviously the best of his softs going, and then obviously the conditions getting worse, and then plus with the gap reducing to both botched and HRC in front, I thought, well, must be feeling pretty all right if I'm still able to put the times in. But yeah, even when the rain started, I think I was still racking out PB laps, just the way that it is on the hards as the fuel comes down. So no, it's surprisingly good feeling.
Amazing, and I think that's all we've got for you, question-wise, tonight.
Indeed, a massive thanks for joining us on the in this post-race interview, James, and hopefully we get to have a chat with you again at a race later on in the season. Good luck for the rest of the season, my
I'd
friend.
very much like that. Thank you very much. How did you guys find it? Your first experience?
Oh, I wasn't expecting us to be questioned.
There you go.
Oh,
Flip
okay.
the switch.
This big switcheroo. I enjoyed it. Great race. I loved every single second, and I've got no one to thank but you guys out on track and my co-commentator. Had you not have pulled me through in some spots, I don't think I'd have got through as well. And had you guys not have performed some absolutely outstanding moves on each other, blocks on each other, I don't think I'd have had anything to commentate on. And I think I'd have had to keep dipping into my arsenal of just track facts and pre-race interviews, and I didn't really want to do that. So yeah, thank you all for a great race.
Yeah, I mean, I can only mirror what Dom said there. Massive thanks to all you guys for a fantastic race. And of course, even more of a massive thanks to Dom. This was my very, very first foray into any level of commentary, let alone doing play-by-play. So Dom has very much been helping me over the last few days, but we feel it's gone pretty well. Hopefully you guys on Twitch have also agreed with us that the race has gone very well. And yeah, on to next week in Monza, I guess.
Monza, a track with several different harder turns, in a way. Definitely a complex track. A couple of chicanes which are slower than most in other races. It's definitely going to be one to watch, and I mean, now you having the experience, myself having warmed up again, you're probably going to get a bit better on the commentary side of things. And to you guys on YouTube, thank you for coming to this weekend. This week on a Tuesday. It is midweek. We don't expect you to turn up, but you have, and you've stuck around. I haven't seen the numbers roughly yet, but obviously we'll get that all sorted afterwards. But keep an eye out over the next 24 hours on YouTube at Invictus Racing League, and you will see this race there for sure. And if you drivers have missed the race because you were obviously driving, you can watch it back on YouTube tomorrow, and it will go up in the Discord as to what time.
Indeed, that is the case. So I think there's only one thing left to say, is from myself, Kieran92, and Dom the Noodle, this has been the Invictus Racing League F1 XBOX League from here in Suzuka. Please join us next Tuesday on the Twitch channel at 8 PM start time for round number 5 in Season 12 here in IRL. We will be at Monza in Italy. But until then, it's a goodbye from my colleague Dom the Noodle.
No.
And it's a goodbye from me. Thanks for watching, guys. Good night.